We're better than you. I'm better than you. And you better start accepting that.
When people talk about shows that have left a big mark on TV, Suits always comes up in the conversation. It had the clever writing, the sharp characters, and of course, the kind of drama that made you want to keep watching episode after episode. But even though the series wrapped up with Season 9 back in 2019, fans have never really stopped wondering if we might get one more season. Season 10 has been the dream for a lot of people, and while there are challenges, especially because Meghan Markle has stepped away from acting, it's not hard to picture how it could actually happen. From the beginning, Meghan Markle's character Rachel Zane was a huge part of the story. She wasn't just a love interest for Mike Ross, she was one of the most important characters in the firm, showing her growth from paralegal to lawyer and eventually into Mike's partner in life. That's why her departure in Season 7, which lined up with her real-life engagement to Prince Harry, was such a turning point for the show. Even though she left, Rachel's presence never really disappeared because her relationship with Mike remained central to his character. By the time we reached the final season, Rachel hadn't been on screen in a while, but she was still a big part of Mike's life. We learned that Mike and Rachel were happily living in Seattle, building their careers and their marriage, and when Harvey and Donna decided to join them, it tied everything together in a satisfying way. The finale really cemented that Rachel and Mike were still deeply in love, which made fans happy, but it also left a tricky problem for the future. Because if Suits ever did come back for a Season 10, it would feel strange not to have Rachel appear alongside Mike, Harvey, and Donna. This is where things get complicated. On one hand, breaking Mike and Rachel up off-screen would feel like a terrible decision. Their relationship was one of the emotional backbones of the series, and watching them divorce without seeing that story unfold would feel like an injustice. Their love story was too carefully built to just be brushed aside, and the idea of fans only hearing about it secondhand doesn't really work. On the other hand, writing Rachel out completely, either by having her die off-screen or constantly explaining why she isn't around, wouldn't sit right either. It would feel forced, especially since the finale set up the idea of Harvey, Donna, Mike, and Rachel working closely together in Seattle. You can only get away with Rachel is busy with something else so many times before it starts to break the illusion. After all, part of what made Suits work was how connected the characters were, so ignoring someone as central as Rachel just wouldn't feel authentic. So where does that leave Season 10? Well, although there are definitely obstacles, there are also a bunch of reasons to believe it could still happen. For one, Meghan Markle doesn't necessarily have to return in order for the story to work. If the show leans into Mike's perspective, Rachel could still be a presence in his life even without being on screen. It wouldn't be perfect, but it would give the writers room to explore Mike's journey while honoring the importance of his marriage. Another point in favor of Season 10 is that the show doesn't have to pick up exactly where Season 9 left off. Enough time has passed that the writers could reframe the story, focusing on a new challenge or case big enough to pull everyone back together. That way, Rachel could be acknowledged as happily living her life in the background while the spotlight shifts to Harvey, Donna, Mike, Louis, and the others. Because fans already know Rachel is happy with Mike, it wouldn't necessarily feel like a betrayal to leave her off screen, it could just be a practical choice. Of course, some people have suggested that instead of a whole new season, a Suits movie might be the better way to go. A film would allow the story to focus on one big streamlined case or personal drama, avoiding the need to explain Rachel's absence over multiple episodes. It would also bring the original cast together for a shorter but still meaningful reunion. While that option has its appeal, the truth is, there's something special about the idea of a full Season 10, because with the season, you get the chance to dive deeper into character growth, relationships, and all the twists that made the series so addictive in the first place. And let's not forget, Suits has been enjoying a massive resurgence lately. Its streaming numbers have been huge, introducing the show to a whole new wave of fans while also reminding longtime viewers how much they loved it. That kind of momentum is exactly the kind of thing that gets networks and streaming platforms thinking about revivals. If anything, the renewed popularity of Suits proves there's an audience ready and waiting for more. If Season 10 were to happen, there's no shortage of directions it could take. One possibility is exploring Harvey and Donna's new life in Seattle, balancing their personal relationship with the challenges of working alongside Mike. Another is diving into a high-stakes case that forces the characters to push their limits, giving fans the kind of intense courtroom drama they've always loved. Louis could also take on a bigger role, bringing his unique mix of brilliance and insecurity into the fold, while characters like Katrina could continue to evolve. Even without Rachel on screen, her influence could still be felt in the choices Mike makes and the way Harvey and Donna interact with him. Because Rachel was such an integral part of Mike's life, her presence doesn't have to vanish completely. She can still be there in spirit, shaping the story without being front and center. It's not the same as seeing Meghan Markle return, but it's a compromise that could work well. The key thing is that the heart of Suits has always been about relationships. Harvey and Mike's bromance, Harvey and Donna's romance, Mike and Rachel's love story, and the messy but heartfelt dynamics within the firm. Season 10 would only need to stay true to those themes to feel authentic. Even though challenges exist, the core of the show is strong enough to carry it forward. And really, if you think about it, television has pulled off trickier revivals before. Shows have worked around missing actors, restructured their casts, and still managed to create something fans loved. The affection people have for Suits gives it a big advantage because the audience is already invested in these characters and their stories. So while it's easy to focus on the challenges Meghan Markle's absence would create, there's also a lot of room for optimism. The writers could find a way to honor Rachel without compromising the story, and the rest of the cast seems open to returning. Combined with the show's newfound popularity on streaming platforms, the conditions for a revival have never been better. In the end, whether Suits comes back as Season 10 or as a movie, the important thing is that the door isn't closed. The story of Harvey, Donna, Mike, and the rest of the gang still feels unfinished, and fans are eager for more. Season 10 would be the perfect way to give that closure, while also exploring new challenges and growth for the characters we've spent so much time with. So yes, Meghan Markle's absence is a hurdle, but it's not an impossible one. With the right storytelling and the right focus, Suits Season 10 could absolutely work. And because fans continue to support the series years after it ended, the demand is there. If anything, the renewed attention only makes it more likely that we'll see these characters back on our screens someday soon. That's the beauty of a show like Suits. It's built on relationships, drama, and heart. And because those things never really go out of style, Season 10 feels less like a long shot and more like an opportunity just waiting to happen. And that's that for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.